We're back. I'm Amy. Threw her way off. Sorry. We're back. We're the Tates. I'm Marcus.
I'm Amy.
And this is Tate's Talk. Bourbon, y'all. That's what we're here to talk about today.
And I'm back. So I'm excited to be back.
Yay, finally, everybody's happy. I watch the videos again.
I kind of miss doing this. This is a lot of fun. So I'm glad to be back.
Anytime a husband and wife can get together and just talk, it's fun.
Sure.
You need that in a relationship. That's what keeps you going strong.
Okay. Anyway, so it was Mark's 50th birthday.
Don't tell everybody.
Whatever. Okay. And it's really called the Golden Birthday, I guess.
Happy birthday, Mark!
But I was trying to figure out.
It doesn't feel that golden.
No. I was trying to figure out, like, for a big birthday like that, like, what could I do? Mark really is introverted. You probably wouldn't know that by watching the channel, but he really is kind of introverted. And I was thinking, what could I do that would make it special? Because he's always doing like really special things for birthdays, anniversaries, and just sometimes just because it's just the kind of husband that he is.
Because of love.
Anyway, so I was thinking, Mark likes to partake in adult beverages responsibly. And if you're an occasional drinker,
sound like an alcoholic.
No. I said if you're an occasional drinker like us. But Mark's drink of choice is really bourbon.
Not always. It was beer.
It was.
Occasionally, I don't drink that much, but
yeah,
bourbon just once I got the taste of it, it took me in.
Yeah.
And it's a social drink, so it's not a drink. It's not a drink to be drunk. Not a drink to be drunk. Anyway, that's pretty
yeah,
good.
It's
a sit around, socialize, have fun,
sip
and enjoy yourself, and like she said, be responsible.
When we were on our trip making our way out west, when we were in Kentucky going to Mammoth Cave, we kept seeing all of the distillery signs, Maker's Mark, I think we saw Bullet, a couple of those. And so it kind of got me thinking, why don't we do the Kentucky Bourbon Trail? I enlisted our friends Ken and Sheryl along on this adventure, and they were all in. Somebody that really knows, more about bourbon than we do.
Yeah, that knows everything about bourbon.
Yeah. so I enlisted
Ken and Sheryl.
and they were all in.
They know everything. They're bourbon connoisseurs.
Yeah, bourbon connoisseurs.
If you could just carry these to my vehicle for me, I appreciate it, certainly.
Today we're talking about one of the coolest places ever, the KBT.
Which is the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
Yes.
So I started planning using Road Trippers, which is an app that I use whenever I plan all of our trips. It kind of tells you destinations. And the thing about the Kentucky Bourbon Trail is some of the distilleries are close together and others could be like 70 miles apart. So it really took some time to, kind of plan it out, kind of dive in a little bit to the trip. So the first thing that you want to do is...
First thing you want to do is get a field guide. We got one there in Kentucky. There's actually a visitor site in, where's the visitor site? Louisville, okay. Louisville. It's pronounced Louisville. According to Kentuckians.
Yeah.
Louisville.
But
first step is to get this guide, and this tells you all about bourbon, tells you about the 41 different distilleries. There's 18 bourbon distilleries and there's 23 craft distilleries, so a total of 41. I think there was I found 95 different bourbon distilleries, but on the actual bourbon trail, you have to be part of the association.
Kentucky Bourbon Association.
Yeah. So there's other places to explore, like we did with Buffalo Trace is not on that. I guess they used to be from what we read, but they're no longer included in this bourbon trail. Buy one there, or you can get one online.
Amazon.
You can get them on Amazon. We'll put a link in the description below if you'd like to purchase one. They're not very expensive. Plus, you can get them stamped. I don't know if you can see that, but
Almost like your national park passport
Yeah.
or your like passport.
yeah, passport or national park books. Like Amy has a book, she gets stamped at all the MPs, and
pretty
we only
cool.
went to 6 different distilleries.
Yeah. So when we were
And
planning
one of them
it,
was not on the Bourbon Trail, so 5 total on the Bourbon Trail, and we spent 7 days. We were there for a week. So in the book, and on the website, it says that you should be able to visit all the 18 bourbon distilleries in 5 days. I don't know how. That's really managing it. She also has to go on the websites, not only the road trippers, and map it all out, but she has to go on the different websites and call these different distilleries and book reservations
you can
in
book
advance.
them on their websites.
Okay, you
Yeah.
book them on their websites, but you have to do
Yeah.
all. We recommend you do all that in advance,
Yeah.
because otherwise you get
They
there.
can book up.
And they did.
Yeah,
a
some
lot
of them did.
Were totally booked.
Yeah, so with Buffalo Trace, they were completely booked. Obviously, it's the oldest operating distillery in Kentucky. So we actually did a walk in there, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about Buffalo Trace. But most of the tours, when you go online, they're anywhere from like $20 up to, I think the most that we paid was $35 a person for a tour. Now you can do different tours, and some of the tours are all of them are a little bit different in what they provide and what you get to do, and some of those can be a little more expensive than that.
Yeah. Now the ones on the actual Bourbon Trail are spread out over 900 miles. Some are back in the woods, way back there, and then they have some in the town. Where you can hit a bunch of them right in a row, I guess. We didn't do that. We went to a couple that were kind of out in the country. Amy, when she plotted our campgrounds, our base camps, which we're going to talk about next, she made sure that they were pretty close proximity of the majority of these distilleries that we went to, which was really smart. And not only that, they were close to all the little towns and cities that we went to.
If you want to, I mean, there are tour companies that you can purchase tickets to, and they'll take you like in a van around to each distillery, and I think they do. I think it's like included in the tickets are included for the distillery and all of those. So you can check those out on, I'm sure, the Kentucky Bourbon, a lot of their websites and stuff.
So our first campground was called Elkhorn. Let's see if I get this right. Elkhorn Creek RV Park.
Yeah.
Did you like the campground?
I did. I mean, we had a back-end site. It was electric and water only, but it was right next to the creek, and so it was a really pretty view. And we got to sit the tables out, and this time of the year the weather was really good. So I mean, I thought it was nice.
We were coming from New Hampshire, and then we went through our 37th state, which is West Virginia, which we have a video coming up soon on that. And it's just a beautiful setting, the spot she got us in. Like she said, when we backed up to it, we opened the back doors of the van, the Aloha, and there's this ducks and there's a golf course on the other side, but there was nobody really golfing at this time. But the weather was beautiful, and then the Rogers showed up, and they parked like two campgrounds away from us. We got firewood from the store up there. I thought it was pretty neat. They have like a little waterfall as you're going out. I don't know if that's a dam or a waterfall, but it looked kind of like a waterfall.
Yeah.
So really pretty setting, and
it was very close
good place
to
for base camp.
Yeah, it was very close to Frankfurt, Kentucky.
Yeah.
So a lot of really cool things like right there in Frankfurt.
We went to one of those little bars that was recommended by somebody we met there at the campground.
It was called the Capitol Cellar.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
The scenery, as we walked to this bar, the scenery was neat. They had all these umbrellas like in an alley, and they had these mural paintings on the sides
really
of the buildings. And that said Frankfurt, and then there's the Capitol buildings there, or the old Capitol buildings there. And then there's this little bar on the corner.
Yeah.
And we went in there, and at first we were the only people in there.
Yeah, but
you tried Heaven Hill bourbon?
Tried Heaven Hill bourbon for the first time, and it's one of my favorites now.
And I tried to drink bourbon neat. Neat, if you don't know what neat is, it's like straight up bourbon out of the bottle with no ice and no ingredients.
I don't recommend it.
And it was woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, I immediately got some light ice, not a whole lot of ice, but just a little ice to chill it a little bit. Daniel Boone is buried. Him and his wife are buried up
in
there.
the cemetery.
Maybe some other relatives as well. I don't know. There's
I don't
different
know.
tombs, but there's this huge tombstone, and it's overlooking the town of Frankfurt. So you see this river, you see all these beautiful green trees, and then the town of Frankfurt, and then that's where Daniel Boone is buried in the gravesite.
Yeah, so one of the cool places that we ate at in Frankfurt, or right outside of it, I think it was Midway, was called the Brown Barrel. Yeah. Highly recommend it.
In fact, we ate there twice, I think.
Yeah, we did. We did. But highly recommend it. They have, what do they call it? Beer cheese.
Beer cheese.
Beer cheese. You have to try beer
Pretzels,
cheese.
and you dip them in this.
Beer cheese when you're in Kentucky.
I'm telling you, that stuff is good. I even ordered some to go.
Yeah.
We put
You did.
Put it in the refrigerator of the van. We warmed it up later in the microwave and ate some. But
Our first one, though, while we were in Frankfurt, was Woodford Reserve.
Woodford. Our first glimpse into the world of bourbon. Woodford Reserve.
And this was my first time really kind of like understanding how bourbon was made. So the tour is very, very knowledgeable. The tour guide was great at Woodford.
Yeah. When we walked on the grounds, all these buildings are black. A lot of the distilleries are black. They don't call it mold or whatever, but I don't know what's on the building.
And they say it's
from
safe.
The years of
the distilling and the
it has the appearance of being like older buildings.
Sure, because of all the black.
Yeah, all the black stuff on the buildings, and they're brick buildings and grays, and we saw all these barrels laid out, going down this like railroad track, and then we go into one of the warehouses, and you see these huge round wooden barrel, open barrel looking things where the bourbon's fermenting.
Yeah.
It's all yellow and it's like boiling like super hot.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
So I will say this with Woodford, I thought that like it was really like all of their technology, all of their I don't know what you call those canisters that they distill the stuff in again, but it was pretty
like
it was
tubing.
all very
it looked
nice.
like something we walked into like this basement area, and it looked like something from Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory movie.
Yes, it did.
And there's these huge copper, I guess they look copper made things, distill the bourbon.
The thing about bourbon is it has to be
51% corn. It's made out of wheat, and it has to have no other extra outside ingredients.
But they put it in, what is it,
they cook
charred
it.
oak?
Yeah, they cook it, they ferment it, and then they distill it, and then it goes into a charred white oak barrel. It's from a white oak tree, and they only 2 barrels from a tree. Of course, all these places, they plant more trees. For every tree they take, they make
plant
sure
2 trees.
They plant more trees. And the climate there, the humidity changes, the hot summers, the cold winters, and the kind of moist area is good for farming, and that's where the corn just grows abundantly there. It's so easy to grow all the stuff there, the wheat, the corn. They put in these barrels, and they're charred barrels, and they just sit there for years. Yeah, and there's a certain amount of time they have to sit in the barrels, and obviously the longer it's in the barrel, the more proof it is, the stronger the bourbon is. So
they even have like the little bourbon balls that you can.
Bourbon balls, soaps,
they're really good.
Whiskeys,
candles,
you name
it,
flasks,
they have it.
shirts, gifts. You can really go all out and spend a lot of money in there. But then we did the taste tour, like you said, and that was our first experience. So they give you, was it 5 in that one?
4, I think.
4?
Maybe 4 or 5.
4 different types. So they have different types every tour, I think. So
they give you just a little bit, just enough to taste it, to see if you like it. And they give you the different types that they have, some of their different brands, so like rye and some of
we're
the
not
like
big fans of rye.
No, but like the regular Woodford, Reserve. So
yeah,
it was
and
really
Woodford
good.
is very tasty bourbon. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's very smooth. Yeah.
And Amy was a wine drinker before all this, so she likes some bourbon now. So that's cool.
Yeah.
To be able to socialize with my wife.
Yeah.
Drink some bourbon, but the tasting was really neat. How they start teaching you how to smell it. You don't just sit there and go, "Oh, what does it taste like?" No, you You smell it, you sip it, and then they have you close your eyes and
Think about the aromas.
think about the aromas, and you know what are you tasting, and like they'll say, do you taste this, and you're like, oh wow, I can taste that, or do you taste this, and it's like, wow, I can taste it, and then they're like, all right, take another sip, and you're like, oh. And it just so on and so on. It's just a neat experience. It was cool.
Our second distillery was Buffalo Trace.
Yes, not on the
Kentucky Bourbon Trail,
but close by, and both of these were close by to our Elkhorn RV park too.
Yeah.
So if you stay there, you're gonna be in close distance.
Yeah. So with Buffalo Trace, we could not get a tour ahead of time, so we had to do a walk-in. Thank goodness that
By chance.
Yeah, that they allow so many walk-ins each day. The good thing about Buffalo Trace is, though, they don't charge for their tours.
No, it's
so their tour is free. Yeah. The grounds are, since it's the oldest operating distillery, the grounds were just, they were beautiful.
Yeah, and people used to live there, and the history that they give you there about how it started. It's not just one person, you know, you got Colonel Taylor, you got Blanton, you got all these different people, and they got one whole area that just tells you history of the people, you know, the whole story of the 16-year-old that didn't have no education and became one of the biggest leaders of this company.
Yeah.
And it was just a neat experience. They have a huge tower. This is
Water
Buffalo.
tower, yeah.
They got like a little, it used to be a fire department, but which most of them have some type of fire, being a distillery, because they can catch fire, like on Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
Burnt to the ground, and they had to rebuild it. But the neat thing about the tour is when you get the tour, they have a different bottle each day. They don't tell you in advance which bottle you get, but you get a discount on it. One bottle per person, as long as you have the wristband.
The wristband, yeah.
Yeah, so we got Colonel Taylor, and we got Buffalo Trace, of course, because we tasted Buffalo Trace for our first time, and it was like,
That was probably
that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
We had to move base camps.
Yeah, we had to move base camps.
Towards Louisville. That's it, right?
Yep, Bardstown. Yeah.
Louisville, Bardstown.
Yeah.
Which is the bourbon capital of the United States.
Yep, that's what they say.
And they have their own distillery as well. We didn't get to check it out, but they do have a lot of cool stuff in that town, like the Old Tavern.
Yeah.
Which is one of the oldest
bar
and
hotels in Kentucky.
And we did a ghost tour that night with the Rogers, and
we had dinner there.
Jesse James was not Jesse James, Billy the Kid apparently was there. They have like his guns, and supposedly it's haunted by them if you're into that kind of stuff. But we did see some shadows above Ken and Sheryl a couple of times, so maybe it had something to do with them. We had our little detectors, and that was neat. We ate a meal there inside there.
It was very good.
And then we went to the bar, and they sang Happy Birthday and Embarrassed Me. Across the street from that is Mammy's, where we had some of the best breakfast, I think.
Oh my gosh,
my opinion.
And they give you the menu is on like an old newspaper. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's a huge bar.
It's a bar.
Restaurant.
Yeah.
But they have like, I don't know, 200 plus different type bourbons. They have two big menus that are just bourbons. And
it's crazy.
The atmosphere is just so neat. I guess they have live music there. I went in the bathroom. There was like a statue of a man there staring at the stall. I was like, kept looking as I was using the restroom. But it was just neat. Like she said, the newspaper. And they said you could keep it, and then she went to take it from me, and I was like, oh, no, that's a souvenir. Remember that? Yeah. The breakfast was just out.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
So we did two bourbon tours there around Bardstown. One was Bullet.
Yeah, Bullet was cool.
Yeah.
So we had tasted Bullet before that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where we got our shirts. Yeah. As soon as we got in there, Amy's like, "We're buying shirts that match bourbon, y'all, and we're buying hats." She has a hat. She's not wearing it.
Yeah, I'm not wearing it.
She has a hat. And I got the Bullet hat. It was a neat tour. We got there. This one was early in the morning.
It was like 11 o'clock. It was. So the thing with Bullet and their distillery is they are very environmentally conscious. And so a lot of their factory and around their grounds is all solar. So that was pretty cool.
The whole field is solar panels.
Yeah, so the bus that took us out to
Talk about the bus. The bus is like, it's an electric bus, you
it's
said.
electric bus.
It's an electric bus, and it's like graffiti, but
Yeah.
cool graffiti on the
Yeah.
inside of the bus.
Yeah, it's really
So you
cool.
get in there and they take you out to
So this
the distillery.
Yeah, this distillery for me, it was very modern. When we went in,
Yeah, it's kind of commercialized a little bit.
well, I think it's because it's more modern for you.
Okay, maybe. They're a newer company too, compared to some of the other bourbon distilleries.
But the cool thing about Bullet was like they had ambiance in their tasting room, and I surprised Mark with a bottle that had the label engraved for his 50th birthday on it, and they gave it to him. So that was pretty cool. But I will say that the best thing about Bullet, the bartender there was. That was the best drink.
What was it, hazelnut? What was the name?
It was autumn something.
Yeah.
And a s'mores drink or something like that.
No, s'mores was...
Well, Sheryl had the s'mores.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Yeah, it was, both were just, they were really
Yeah,
good.
they made it at the bar, and we watched her, shake it and make it, and then she put this like leaf that ended up dissolving
It's an edible
in it.
leaf, yeah.
And it was like October, which is my birthday's in October, so that's the time frame we were there, and so it was like this orange leaf floating on top of the drink, and the drink was really good.
It was really good.
And I mean, just from, like she said, the ambiance, just from when you walk into the first area, they got this big fire pit with these couches and huge bullet signs and scenery, and then on the wall they got their, the people that started the company, and then you walk through a hallway and you're in their huge gift shop, and we probably bought the most stuff there. Of course, we went out to the van, the Aloha, and changed into our Bourbon Y'all shirts and our hats, and came back in. They're like, "Oh, look, the cute couple! They're so cool."
We went to Jim Beam.
Oh yeah, Jim Beam was cool.
Jim Beam was very cool. So first of all, we were
Knob Creek.
Little,
I drank.
Wait,
Knob Creek is a good, delicious bourbon.
yeah, it's okay. So when we went to Jim Beam, we were just a tad bit late for the tour, and they had to golf cart us.
I feel like that.
Cheryl did try to get us there.
Yeah, they had to golf cart us to the so we could catch up with our tour.
That was nice
but,
of them.
Yeah, it
They're
was.
like, come with us. Get you on the golf
and we
cart,
really
because they already left on this big, huge bus to the distillery.
We got a little bit of heckling from our tour guide for being late.
But we got VIP treatment. That was cool.
We did. She was great though. The tour guide at Beam, she was great.
Yeah, and you walk in, the first building we walk in, there's this classic car.
Is absolutely
and then like this waterfall of limestone water pouring out. And
definitely Beam style. It was. So what was really cool about this particular tour was you could actually get your own bottle, fill it yourself, and
Knob Creek.
and then you put your fingerprint on the top. I think Ken did like a Steelers, because he's a Steelers fan.
He had a little Pittsburgh Steeler thing on his keychain.
Yeah. So he put that on the top, but then you could go down into the gift shop and you could get
before
it.
you go there, you actually pick out your bottle, and then you have to wash it out.
Yeah.
With alcohol. You don't put water in there and stuff, so there's a certain percentage of alcohol. You put it on this thing, and they let you do it. It's really cool. Pick out your bottle, put it in there, you put your label on it, and or sticker, just tell them your name, and it sprays in there, cleans it out, and then you have to put it, of course I put it the wrong way. You have a 50-50 shot, the guy said, with the name out, and it goes on this assembly line, and you're able, at that place, you're able to watch it go through each step of the process, where it gets labeled, where it gets sealed, and then they dip it in the wax, like she said, black wax. And if you've seen a Knob Creek bottle, it's just like hanging weird.
Yeah, it's
this
kind of
weird thing. It's their signature thing that they do, just like at Maker's Mark. They use red wax, but they do that, and then before the wax is hot, so I put my thumbprint on there.
Yeah.
And
That's
then,
pretty cool.
we went in the gift shop, like
And
you said.
yeah, and you can get your name etched on it or whatever you want to put on
I
it.
put it
but
in the
they'll
machine,
etch it. Yeah.
and it just
pretty
etches
cool.
it into the bottle.
Yeah.
And
So that was a really cool experience. So Mark got his name and his birthday on there to commemorate his 50th.
yeah, I can't
Yeah.
even open the bottle now because it's just like with the bullet bottle. How do you open the bottle? I guess you could save the bottle.
Yeah, you can save the bottle.
There's one part in there. Did you tell them about
Oh
that already?
no, I forgot.
They have the barrel where they show first come out of the barrel, and then she turns the barrel and she invites you to come up there and get some bourbon in your hand straight out of the barrel. And I did that. I was like, oh. And of course, the Rogers and Amy didn't bother to partake in that, but.
Then we checked into our next campsite was
Oh, wow.
my old Kentucky home state park.
Yeah,
So the
there's some issues.
uh,
Gotta be honest.
yeah, I mean
It's a cool site.
it was a cool site. The
parking-
sunset was beautiful
Yeah,
there.
and not to be negative about it, it is a cool place. So I mean, definitely stay there. Definitely make your plans in advance. Just know that when you go there, there's a huge golf course thing associated with it, and there's nobody really there to help you out other than what you did online.
Yeah.
There was a person there that is the camp host,
Yeah.
and
Thank
thank goodness,
goodness.
because
Yeah.
when our spot with our van, we were like, I don't know, 75 yards away from the electric thing. Even with our long cord, we had to borrow an extended cord
Yeah.
to get electricity.
Yeah, it was a little weird there because their
And their
electrics
surfaces
are there's like 2 or 3 on one plug.
There's a lot of
and
people
it was-
complaining where they're trying to move sites around and stuff, and they don't
Yeah.
let you move.
No.
It's booked up.
Yeah.
Like, it was very special, and
Yeah.
it's close by to
Heaven Hill.
Heaven Hill
Which,
Distillery.
yeah, but we're going to talk about Maker's Mark first because we did Maker's Mark on Mark's birthday.
50th birthday.
Yeah, we couldn't get a
October
tour.
12th.
We couldn't get a tour at Heaven Hill, so on the 12th. So we ended up doing Maker's Mark, which let's talk about the grounds first.
Yeah.
So the grounds are.
Let's
They're-
just say Amy's not a big fan of their bourbon.
No, but I know a lot of people are. I mean,
It's very popular. It's
we
like
were in Sam's
all over Florida.
We were in Sam's yesterday, and I saw a guy buying a big bottle of it, and I'm thinking, ew.
I think it's
but-
just a little strong for me.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know.
I don't know, just
Maybe it's an
not
acquired taste. Or
maybe
something, but-
not my favorite. But the tour was really cool.
Yeah, the grounds, the tour, the
they
place was
have-
beautiful. I think it was one of the best tours as far as scenery.
Yeah.
And how these gray buildings with these red trim like window shades on the
Mm-hmm.
side. They had these horses with like mural
murals
painted
for the Churchill
horses.
Downs and stuff like that.
And the tour was cool. You know, it took you into where the barrels are, and
Yeah.
it was just really fascinating. And it's a huge place, so. After the tour,
So-
you have to spend some time walking around. They have a like some of the. If you get this book, it'll tell you which ones have eateries in them, and
Mm-hmm.
that one did. It was too busy for us to eat at.
The thing about this one, to me too, the tour guide, I think I asked a question and
Yeah.
he didn't answer. I never really got an answer.
About rotating barrels.
So they rotate their barrels, where most of what they call the rick houses is where they house the barrels. They don't rotate them, but they did there. And so I asked why, and I never really got an answer. So if you know, please comment below because I'm still curious as to why they would rotate their barrels.
Yeah, some we heard later that it doesn't really matter if they rotate them,
Yeah.
and some they said.
Clearly it
And
does.
a lot
though,
of places
because
they
I
put
don't-
them. They say they put them in place and they don't move them.
Yeah, I think clearly it does though because I don't care for their bourbon that much. Their signature thing is the red wax on the top
Not
of their
only that,
bottle.
their bottle is different than
Yes,
all other bottles.
it is.
She wanted it to be
So
different.
we could see them dipping it in the red wax and it coming up, and depending on how they dipped it, it dripped and so you could see some of that. That to me was just, I mean, it was kind of interesting.
That one, Maker's Mark and James Beam
Mm-hmm.
were really cool because not only saw the factories and where the barrels are stored and rick houses and all that, but you got to see the process of how they're bottled, which was really interesting to me to see it on a factory line and see the workers in action and how busy they stay. And
well, we went to Churchill Downs.
oh yeah.
In Louisville.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. Now, we didn't get to see a race.
I was really excited. That was neat.
So it was really cool, though, just being there and, you know, hearing the history and knowing, you know, how big, like, the Kentucky Derby is. And they have, like, these hats that you can try on and stuff like that. So Louisville was really cool. And it is basically, they call it the main hub of, like, the Bourbon Trail. So there's a lot of Angel's Envy is there. Of course, we didn't get to do that one, but Angel's Envy is there.
What was the other one, Colonel Taylor? The Castle.
Castle and Key.
Castle and Key sounded really cool. We looked at we heard a lot about that one.
We did get to see the biggest bat I think you've ever seen at the Louisville Slugger store. Downtown
Louisville was this huge Louisville Slugger bat. The store is closed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's a cool car I played with across the street, antique car where you crank it up in the front, one of them old time. Reminded me of like the movie Untouchables or one of those old, you know,
that's true.
mobster.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Prohibition period.
Yeah. And then they had like a KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken headquarters. And just to backtrack, when we were on our way from West Virginia to Kentucky, we were talking and we were like, isn't that the home of
Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Kentucky Fried Chicken. She's like, Google that shit. So I Googled that shit, and sure enough, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're in that area and you want some good barbecue, check out, was it Mama's?
Mama's, yeah. I forgot about that place.
Yeah, it was really good. So I saved the best for the last on the tour.
Oh,
and
get your
so
your
what
gifts
was,
on this tour.
Yeah, what was really cool was usually when you go to the tasting rooms, they have like these little glasses and they're just set out, you know, for you. But this one gave you a lanyard to wear with you when you walked around. Yeah, so that was so cool.
You did the actual bourbon tasting while you're walking around.
Yeah.
And they took us in where the barrels were, one of the smaller warehouses, and then they took us in this one place, and it says Heaven Hill, and it's just all glass, and you see the barrels.
Just jacked.
I forget how many stories, 4 or 5
Oh my gosh,
stories?
I don't know. It was huge.
Barrels as far as you can see, stacked to the ceiling, and this building's humongous.
Yes, it was. So
and of course, they make one of my favorite bourbons.
Yeah, mine too. Not the same.
Elijah.
Yeah.
Craig,
so
if you've heard of that one.
Yeah. And then
Really
Heaven
good
Hill.
bourbon.
They also make one that
Larceny,
which is one of our new favorites for sure.
Yeah, Larceny has become one of our top 10, I think. Yeah, that's pretty good. She loved these, and you get to keep them.
Yeah.
That was her main thing.
So
the whole
cool.
time she's like, "We do get to keep these, right?
That's so cool.
We get to keep these."
just a cool memento. But I really liked Heaven Hill. The inside, they have like this great big kind of like museum that walks you through. It's got Elijah Craig, and it tells about the history of Elijah Craig, which was very interesting. You can actually play with like the thief thing. You know, they call it what do they call it? Like the thief?
The thief.
The thief? Yeah, they call it the thief. It's like a little sword that you pull out. And
which we've seen one in there. Yeah.
So that was, to me, it was really cool.
And I tried my first Manhattan, which it didn't come in like a little whiskey glass. It came in a tall.
Like a.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. I still prefer bourbon on ice. Light ice.
I like it with a little bit of a whiskey sour.
Or a gentleman's cube.
Yeah, gentleman's cube.
A little round or a square cube. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway.
Whiskey sour's good too, though.
So I am glad to be back with you and looking forward to more travels this year. Yeah. It's going to be a little bit different.
Give us a like, give us a thumbs up if you want to see more of Amy and not me.
No.
Right, Uncle Chuck?
No, he does a good job on these.
Right, Uncle Chuck? My uncle says that our videos would be better without me.
Anyway.
Thanks, Chuck.
Love you.
My family. All in all, our experience was awesome. Now, we only got to go to 6 distilleries, and again, we were there for 7 days. And if you get the book or the field guide or read about it, it says you can hit 18 bourbon distilleries in 5 days and like 6 days for the craft distilleries. It's really neat thing to do. You can go back and explore and do different things. Make sure you visit the small towns. We told you about a couple of campgrounds. There are numerous campgrounds around there.
There are.
So do your research, use road trippers. All in all, it was the best birthday ever, even though it had to be on my 50th. But it made me feel young again. Bourbon makes you
It's all
feel
the
young.
bourbon wisdom.
Bourbon wisdom on the Bourbon Trail. So,
Tate out.
and she's ready to get out of here apparently. Oh, if you don't know, I did 16 shorts. I was trying something new. And I decided to film our Bourbon Trail experience in a vertical form and put it on a short. So we have a playlist now on our YouTube channel that you can use it as a guide. We have a full guide coming out that I wrote, and with pictures and all kinds of different things and information in a written form that you can read on our website, theTatesTravel.com. We were under the understanding that bourbon was made solely in Kentucky. Well, 95% of the world's bourbon is Kentucky. However, there's that 5%. And part of that 5%, there's a bourbon distillery in Colorado,
Yes.
which we're going to talk and show you about soon in our Colorado series coming up.
Yes.
So stay with us on the Tates Travel.
Yeah.
Tates are out.
Tate out.
Tates. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already.